I didn't call ahead. Bad habit. Maybe. But when you spend 11 months counting down to a homecoming, you stop treating it like a business meeting. I'd been out-processed at Fort Liberty 3 days ago, what they're calling it now instead of Bragg, and the only thing on my itinerary was not being deployed anymore. I swung by the BX on the way back to Fayetteville, grabbed the butterball because Lacey mentioned last month over patchy WhatsApp that she didn't want to cook this year. Figured I'd surprise her. Do the potluck sides myself. Keep it small. The front door of the rental off Yadkin Road was cracked open when I pulled into the driveway. Not wide, just enough to hear her voice carrying through the mesh screen. And swipe up, babes. The link is live for the Thanksgiving bundle. My husband's actually pulling in later, so I'll probably cry on camera. You guys already know how soft I am. I smiled, stupidly, before I even got to the steps. Then Tori stepped into the frame. She had moved the screen door, just planted herself there with an iPad tucked under one arm and a Stanley cup in the other hand. Condensation dripping onto the welcome mat. Lacey bought off Etsy that said, "Bless our nest." "Ethan," she said, like she was checking a box. "Right, you can't go inside." I stopped on the bottom step. "Excuse me?" Lacey's mid-live stream. "Tori," I said, tilting her head the way girls from Clemson do when they want you to know they're doing you a favor. She said no distractions today, especially not personal drop-ins. It's my house. Technically, Tori, I said, glancing at her screen. The lease is under her media LLC now. But, semantics, right? She smiled without using her eyes. She just asked me to remind you, she's building a brand right now. And you rolling up in your PTs makes the whole army wife aesthetic look a little budget. Inside, Lacey laughed. It wasn't her real laugh. It was a bright, high one she used when she was talking to brand managers. "Babe, just 10 more minutes. I promise." Lacey called out, not to me, to whoever was in her earpiece. The lighting is literally perfect right now. I looked past Tori's shoulder. The living room was staged. Fairy lights. A fake turkey centerpiece. A ring light throwing that warm orange wash across the couch where Lacey sat cross-legged in a cream sweater that still had the tag bump visible at the neck. "Move," I said. Quiet, not yelling. Rangers don't yell to make a point. Tori didn't budge. She tapped something on her iPad and angled it slightly so I could see the viewer count climbing. Don't make her restart the take. "Ethan, she already hit 5K. You know how the algorithm punishes her when there's dead air." For a second, I thought about walking through anyway. Tori was 5'4" in UGGs, and I still had decent weight behind my shoulders. But the last thing I wanted was to be the guy who disrupted his own wife's income because his feelings were hurt. So I stayed on the step. 10 minutes. I could do 10 minutes. I leaned the grocery bag against the railing and checked my phone. Jax had texted a meme to the group chat. Something about Deer's appointments in dental. I didn't answer. From inside, Lacey's voice shifted gears. "Okay, chat, real quick. Shout out to Tori for keeping me organized today. My girl is literally guarding the gate. So I can show up for you." Tori preened a little, just enough that I caught it. When the stream finally wrapped, I heard the click of the camera cutting off. Lacey pushed the screen door open. She didn't step out, just filled the gap Tori left. Her face softened when she saw the grocery bag, but only for half a breath. "You scared me," she said. "Didn't mean to. I'm back. I told you last week I was doing the sponsor dinner today. Why didn't you text?" "Because I wanted to see you." I said, "Not scheduled seeing you." Tori made a small noise behind her, like a cough. She didn't bother finishing. Lacey glanced back, then stepped fully outside and pulled the door mostly shut so Tori couldn't hear. "Ethan," Tori was just doing her job. "You can't show up here and act like nothing changed while I'm trying to lock a retainer with Mill SPO Collective." "Retainer," I repeated. "For what?" "Content. Brand deals. You know this. I know you used to say you hated that crowd." "Yeah, well, you were gone, so I figured some things out." She crossed her arms. "You embarrassed me. By the way, walking up like that while I was live. Embarrassed you how?" She sighed. "The patient kind. The hoodie. The hair. Just walking in unannounced makes it look messy. Mill SPO wants aspirational. Not, she stopped. Not what? Not two people fighting for space in a one-bedroom off-post. She said, too fast. Then she caught herself. Forget it. Tori printed out a little onboarding thing for you. Just some boundaries around shoots. Okay, read it tonight and sign it tomorrow. Sign what? Before she could answer, Tori cracked the door again. Lace, the manager's asking for the unboxing B-roll. You need to relight. Lacey touched my forearm. Brief. Put the bird in the garage fridge. Yeah, we'll do dinner Thursday like normal. I didn't move. Lacey, I said, keeping my voice low so Tori wouldn't get another clip out of this. You want me to sign something about when I can walk into my own house? She hesitated. Not long, but long enough for Tori to answer for her. It's just a media silence agreement. Ethan, Tori called from inside. Breezy. Keeps everyone legally aligned while the account scales. Super standard. I looked at Lacey. Waited for her to tell Tori to shut up. She didn't. Instead, she reached into the side pocket of her leggings and handed me 2 folded sheets of printer paper. Top corner stamped with a logo I didn't recognize. Paragraph 2 was already highlighted in pink. Spouse agrees not to reference service members' deployments, injuries, or marital status in any public or semi-public forum without prior written approval from Talent's appointed representative. Appointed representative. Tori, you serious? I asked her. Lacey looked at the door, then at me. Don't make it a thing. Just sign it and the check clears faster. What check? The quiet fee. Tori supplied, leaning around Lacey's shoulder now, unable to help herself. We discussed this on Zoom. Sweetie, you really don't check your Gmail? I took the papers, folded them once, and set them on top of the butterball in the grocery bag. I'm not signing an NDA with my wife. I said. Lacey's expression cooled. Fine, then don't make a scene about it. I'm not the one making scenes. You're literally standing on the porch arguing with my assistant, she said, and for the first time since I got back. She sounded exactly like Tori. Just go cool off. Ethan, I'll text you later. She stepped back in. Tori gave me a little mock sympathetic shrug and pulled the door shut. Click. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds, listening to the muffled sound of Lacey resetting her ring light and saying, okay, sorry about that. Technical difficulty. Let's jump back in. The garage code hadn't been changed yet. I opened it, put the bird in the deep freeze next to a stack of PR boxes Lacey hadn't opened, and sat in the driver's seat of my Tacoma. The seatbelt alarm started dinging after 2 minutes. I didn't start the engine. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Hey, this is Tori. Lacey asked me to send the PDF version so you can e-sign before Thursday. No pressure. Just try and keep the vibes high, white heart. I locked the screen. Somewhere behind the garage wall, Lacey was telling a few thousand strangers how grateful she was to be a military spouse during the holidays, how supported she felt, how her village always had her back. I leaned my head against the steering wheel and realized nobody had asked me what I needed from this Thanksgiving. And 10 minutes after that, when the live stream officially ended and Lacey still hadn't texted, I stopped waiting for the door to open on its own. Tori emailed the informal guest guidelines Wednesday night. Subject line, quick housekeeping for tomorrow X. Attachment, a PDF with bullet points in pastel pink. No uniform, no referencing deployments, medical boards, or Jody jokes. No mentioning the separation paperwork Lacey hadn't technically filed, but Tori kept bringing up like it was a branding pivot. At the bottom, Tori had added a PS in italics. Lacey's manager from Mill SPO Collective will be there. Smile. Don't overshare. I wore the gray hoodie anyway. Clean, but definitely not blaze material. The mixer was at the officers' club on post, which told me everything about how fast Lacey had climbed. Enlisted spouses don't usually get invited to the balcony tier unless someone's skimming the brand budget. Tori met us at the host stand, already holding a clipboard, even though it was a Thursday night cash bar. Ethan, she said, look at me over once. Good call leaving the camo at home. Blends better. Lacey kissed my cheek, like it was a scheduled obligation. He's learning, she told Tori, laughing. Inside, the room smelled like catering buffalo dip and performance enthusiasm. A guy in a Patagonia vest introduced himself as Brett, Lacey's point of contact at Mill SPO. Great engagement on the Turkey Day stream. Lace, Brett said, clinking his beer against her LaCroix. We're thinking Q1 we lean harder into the single mom pivot if the divorce arc tests well. I stopped reaching for a napkin. Divorce arc? I said. Brett laughed, thinking I was in on it. Just market research. Man, single military mom content crushes this time of year. Single mom plus TRICARE struggles? Gold. Lacey touched my wrist. Quick. Brett means narrative framing. We talked about this. No. I said. We didn't. Tori swooped in with a fresh drink for Lacey like she was diffusing a drill sergeant. Ethan signed the baseline agreement. Brett, he's fine. Right. Ethan? Baseline covers silence on all personal filings. I didn't sign anything. I said, the table went quiet in that particular military wife way where nobody actually stops talking. They just lower the pitch so it sounds like whispering secrets. Brett set his beer down. Lace, if the NDA isn't executed, legal's going to flag the retainer. It's executed. Lacey lied. Smooth. He just likes to joke about the paperwork. I should have walked out then. Would have saved myself the next 20 minutes. But Brett got drunk enough to get sloppy. 2 bourbons in. He leaned toward Lacey and said it loud enough for the next table to hear. So when's the official split post-dropping? Single mom era prints money. Babe, just saying. Lacey didn't confirm it. She also didn't correct him. She just tilted her head and smiled into her glass. And Tori jumped in to steer the conversation to affiliate links. I pulled my phone out. Deployment. Month 7. Lacey's voice memo from last winter was still saved in my archived audio. She'd sent it at 0300 her time, crying because someone on base had keyed her car and she didn't have anyone to call. The last line of that voice note was the only thing I played on loop through Kandahar. I don't care about the followers or the brand shit. I just want you home alive. That's it. That's the whole list. I queued it up, thumb hovering. Tori noticed and tried to redirect. Hey, Brett was just kidding about the single mom thing. Right, Brett? It's just content brainstorming. Brett waved a hand. Relax. Tori, the husband clearly knows the game. Half these guys love the payout. I hit play. The audio crackled through the Bluetooth speaker Tori had plugged into the table for her own Instagram stories. Lacey's voice, raw and unfiltered, filled the corner. I don't care about followers. I just want you home alive. Heads turned. Lacey's face went the color of the club napkins. Tori scrambled for the AUX cord. Missed it. Knocked over a charcuterie board instead. I didn't raise my voice. Just waited for the clip to finish. Then locked the screen and looked straight at Brett. She meant it then. I said, so you should probably know what you're actually buying before you start pricing out a divorce arc. Brett cleared his throat, suddenly very interested in his shoes. Lacey, maybe we table the personal brand talk until he's being difficult. Tori cut in, stepping between us like she was blocking a route. Ethan, seriously? Playing audio in a sponsor setting? Do you understand how much damage control this is going to take? Damage to what? I asked her. The story or the bank account? Lacey finally found her voice. Low and furious. Go wait in the car. We rode separately. I said, then go smoke or walk or whatever. Just not here. I looked at her for a long second. Not the girl who mailed me care packages with bad handwriting and extra Skittles. Someone else entirely. You don't get to bench me for my own life. Lace, I said. Brett held up both hands. All right. Tension's high. Let's reset Friday. Yeah. I left the glass I hadn't touched on the high top and headed for the doors. The club's hallway smelled like floor wax and brass polish. Tori followed me out to the covered portico, heels clicking like she was on a timer. You just cost her a 6-figure retainer, she said. No more fake warmth. She can afford it. She's building a brand. You think this is funny? Tori stepped into my peripheral. She carried your absence for almost a year. Ethan, you think showing up and pulling Ranger Alpha stunts makes you the victim? I stopped walking, turned just enough to meet her eyes. Don't stand between a man and his wife. I said, unless you're ready to carry the consequences when he finally stops asking nicely. Tori blinked, but the smirk didn't drop. She pulled her phone up, thumb hovering over the camera. Say that again. Actually, don't. I'll just caption it abusive veteran energy and let the Mill SPO girls handle the rest. I didn't give her the satisfaction of reacting, just kept walking toward the parking lot. Behind me, I heard her FaceTime tone connect. Yeah, he just blew up the dinner. Tori's voice carried across the concrete. No, he won't sign. I told you, we need the LLC to file the unaccompanied request so the narrative lands cleaner. She thought the music from the club covered her. It didn't. Unaccompanied request. Dear's filing. Narrative. I got in the truck, started it, and watched her through the windshield. Tori was pacing now, lying comfortably to whoever was on the other end of that call, acting like she ran the household, and I was just a liability. My phone buzzed. Lacey, you embarrassed me in front of Brett. Tori's drafting the statement. Don't post anything. Don't text me. 3 dots. Then, also, JAG is pro bono for dependas. If we frame it right, just sign the quiet fee tonight, so we don't have to escalate. I stared at the word dependas. She didn't use it, but Tori had, and Lacey was letting the language bleed over. I didn't answer. 10 minutes later, Jax texted from Bragg Housing. Jax, yo, Tori tagged you in a spouse group on FB. Some bullshit about emotional whiplash. You good? I opened the app once. The post was a cropped photo of me walking out of the officers' club. Caption grateful for the lessons, even when they come home different. 300 likes in 12 minutes. I closed the app, drove past a housing loop, and parked in the commissary lot just to sit somewhere lit and public. Somewhere between the base gate and the interstate, Lacey stopped being a military spouse and started being a product. And Tori wasn't an assistant. She was the packaging. Jax texted me at 0645. Jax, don't go on FB. Sending screens instead. 2 images hit my messages before I finished my first coffee in garage. First one was the Facebook post Tori put up after the dinner. Me walking out of the club, Lacey's face blurred out. Caption about unrecognized sacrifices. Same playbook. Second image made me set the mug down. It was a screenshot from an email thread Tori had accidentally CC'd a mutual spouse on. Subject line, spousal silence agreement, execution plan. Tori had written back to Lacey's manager. I'll have her sign the updated version Thursday night while he's cooling off. He thinks it's just a media waiver. Once it's countersigned under her LLC, we route the unaccompanied tour request through Deers next week. So the single mom arc has paper behind it. Attached to that thread was a draft of the form. Unaccompanied tour/voluntary separation of residence. Filed by the spouse when the service member is allegedly emotionally unstable or refusing cohabitation. Lacey hadn't told me any of that. She just asked me to sign the quiet fee. I called Jax. That email real? I asked. Tori sent it to a girl named Marissa, who used to be in Lacey's book club. Jax said, voice flat, he knew better than to sugarcoat. We'd both done rotations where bad intel got people killed. Marissa forwarded it to my wife last night. Said she felt gross reading it. You wanted to come over? No. Ethan, I said no, thanks to the screens. I hung up and sat in the truck for exactly 10 minutes. Long enough to realize the timeline. Thanksgiving Day, the live stream, that 10-minute gap between Tori blocking the door and Lacey coming out to hand me the papers. They hadn't been fixing a ring light. They'd been inside finalizing the Deers draft while I stood on the step holding a frozen bird. When I walked back into the house, it was almost noon. No fairy lights now. Just Tori at the kitchen island. Laptop open. Tapping away like she paid rent. Lacey was in the bedroom. Door cracked. Crying. Not the real kind. The practice. Mascara smudge kind. Tori saw me first. Oh, great. You're back. Lacey's account got swatted last night. Someone reported her to the FRG page. And she's a mess. So maybe don't do the whole I'm the victim thing today. Yeah. Where's the form? I asked. Tori blinked. What form? The unaccompanied tour request. The one you drafted while I was on the porch Thanksgiving morning. Silence. Not even the keyboard. Lacey stepped out of the bedroom then. Eyes red. Phone clutched like a shield. Tori? She said, hearing the shift. He's being paranoid. Tori said quickly. Someone leaked a version of the NDA to the groups. Ethan's spiraling. Show her the email. Tori, I said. Tori laughed. Short and sharp. You hacked her email? Jesus. Lace. I told you he'd escalate. Lacey looked between us. Panic starting to show at the hairline. Ethan, if you went through my work accounts. Jax's wife got it from Marissa. You know Marissa. She didn't like what you were doing. Lacey's mouth opened. Closed. Tori stepped in front of her like a human firewall. Even if we discussed options. Tori said, chin up. It's because you've been volatile since you got back. Lacey was trying to protect both of you. The DRS note was just a placeholder. A placeholder. I repeated. Yes, Lacey said, finding her voice now that Tori had handed her the script. It was just talk. Tori gets ahead of herself with brand strategy. You know how she is. We weren't actually filing it. I pulled my phone out, opened the screenshot Jack sent, and turned the screen so she could see her own signature block at the bottom of the draft. Authorized representative, Lacey Whitman Media, LLC. She hadn't signed yet, but she'd initialed the top corner. I zoomed in. Initials aren't a signature, she said. Too fast. They are close enough for a retainer. I said, Brett see this version or the clean one? Lacey didn't answer. Tori did. Brett loves the authenticity of it. Single mom plus VA weightless content? That's a whole vertical. Ethan, you don't get how the algorithm. Stop saying algorithm like excuses fraud. That landed harder than I meant it to. Tori actually stepped back half an inch. Lacey filled the space. Softer now, playing the peacemaker she'd abandoned at the officers' club. Okay. Deep breath. She reached for my hand. I didn't give it to her. She let hers drop. Look, everything's blown up online right now. Someone swatted the account. Tori thinks it was you doing a burner to make me look unstable. You think I reported your own account? Did you? She asked, quiet. For a second, I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because she really believed her own framing that easily. I didn't touch your page. I said, but you used my silence as content for months. Now you're surprised I'm quiet? Tori made a sound like a scoff. You're not silent. You're litigious. There's a difference. Get out of my house. Tori. The room went still. Even Lacey looked at her. Excuse me? Tori said. You heard me. Take your laptop. Take the PR boxes in the garage. And get off Yadkin Road until Lacey figures out whose side she's on. Tori turned to Lacey. Waiting for the override. The don't listen to him. I run your calendar override. Lacey didn't give it. She just rubbed her temples and muttered, just go to the car. Tor, give us 10. Tori gathered her stuff with maximum passive-aggressive clatter, shooting Lacey a look on the way past that said you're ruining your leverage. When the front door shut, Lacey finally dropped the act. You just cost me Tori's retainer and my relationship with Mill SPO in one afternoon, she said. You cost yourself that when you initialed a fake military separation form. I was overwhelmed. You were gone, and then you came back different. I came back. I cut in. You're the one who changed the locks on the story. She wiped under her eyes, glanced toward the window to make sure Tori wasn't filming from the driveway. Paranoid habit, or just reflex now. If you don't sign the agreement today, she said carefully, Tori's going to the FRG commander and filing an informal complaint about your temper. It won't stick, but it'll flag your VA file. Is that what you want? I looked at her. Really looked. This was the woman who used to fall asleep on FaceTime while I was on guard shift just so I wouldn't be alone in the dark. You're threatening my benefits to save an influencer brand. I said, I'm protecting what's left of our income. She corrected. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Jax again. Jax, FRG admin just texted my wife. Tori already filed a concern this morning. Spouse on spouse tension. They're asking Lacey for a statement Monday. Of course she had. I slipped the phone back in my pocket without answering it. Monday, I said aloud. Lacey frowned. What? Nothing. I moved past her to the bedroom, grabbed the duffel I hadn't even fully unpacked yet, and slung it over my shoulder. You want space? Lacey? You got it. File whatever you need to file. But understand something. She flinched like I was going to yell. I didn't. Rangers don't yell. We just stop covering fire. From here on out, I said, if you let someone else speak for our marriage, don't act confused when they rewrite the ending. I walked out the front door. Tori was sitting in her Civic, typing furiously, probably live updating the sponsor group chat. She didn't look up. Lacey stood in the frame of the house, arms crossed, watching me load the truck like she was waiting for the camera to roll so she could cry on cue. I didn't wait to see if she'd start the stream. I spent Friday morning at the Soldier Support Center off Normandy Drive, not to cause trouble, just to update my SGLI and pull a copy of my DEERS eligibility cert. Routine stuff. Or it should have been. The clerk behind the counter, a staff sergeant named Morales who'd been doing this 18 years, frowned at her monitor and spun the keyboard toward me. You got a minute. Cross? Sure. Your profile's flagged. Spouse-initiated unaccompanied notification was logged Tuesday. Says here you're declining cohabitation and exhibiting post-deployment behavioral concerns. I kept my hands flat on the counter. I didn't file that. Morales clicked through a couple of screens. System says Lacey Whitman Media. LLC submitted it to the dependent portal using a POA upload. That's irregular. But technically the system doesn't reject LLC emails if the sponsor's mailing address matches. There's no power of attorney. She didn't argue, just slid a printout across the laminate. If you want it purged, you need a JAG consult and a formal rebuttal. Otherwise, it sits as a domestic note on your file for the next PCS cycle. I thanked her, walked straight out to the parking lot, and called Chief Warrant Officer Reyes. We'd done a joint op near Al-Assad years back. Now he was wrapping up a JAG fellowship in Fayetteville part-time. He picked up on the second ring. Cross, you alive? Barely. Need a favor, not a handout. My wife's LLC filed a bullshit DEERS note making me look unstable. Her assistant is shopping it to Mill SPO sponsors as a single mom arc. Reyes was quiet for a beat. You got the email chain? Screenshots. Initials. Draft language. Send it. I'll draft a counteraffidavit for abuse of dependent benefits. If they're taking Mill SPO money off a fake separation, that's commercial fraud tied to a government database. We flip that. Their retainer evaporates. By Saturday afternoon, Tori was knocking on the garage side door of the rental. I'd moved my gear into the spare room above the detached bay, so I wouldn't have to sleep in the truck again. Lacey was supposedly at a brand retreat in Raleigh. Tori was alone, wearing sunglasses and holding a manila folder like a weapon. Ethan, she said, not stepping in this time. Smart. Lacey asked me to deliver this formally. She handed me the folder. Inside was a printed cease and desist from some online legal mill in Charleston, accusing me of harassment, unauthorized entry, and interfering with Lacey's commercial enterprise. Bottom line, vacate the property by Monday, or they file a protective order through Cumberland County using the DEERS note as corroboration. You actually printing this? I asked. It's already scanned to the magistrate queue. Tori said, shifting her weight. Look, just sign the NDA. Take the $1,200 a month quiet fee and move to a sublet off post. Nobody has to serve you. $1,200. Better than zero when the PO drops. I folded the cease and desist in half and set it on the step next to a stack of empty ammo cans I hadn't unpacked yet. Tell Lacey Reyes is drafting the response. Tell her commercial fraud triggers an inspector general referral when it touches DRS. And tell her I looked right at Tori, that if she wants me out, she can explain to the FRG why her LLC forged a military record. Tori's smirk faltered. You think JAG cares about influencer drama? They care about false official statements tied to TRICARE and housing. Ask Brett how much Mill SPO loves an IG audit. She pulled her phone out, thumb hovering. You wanted to film this? Because the followers are going to love the intimidation. Then watch this, I said, not raising my voice, stepping just close enough to the screen that I filled the frame without touching it. I'm not the villain in her story. Tori, I'm just the part she couldn't monetize. I reached past her and shut the garage door manually. The motor drowned out whatever she said next. 5 minutes later, Lacey called. No hello. You threatened Tori with Jag? I told her the truth. You forged a Deer's entry to sell a divorce arc. Silence. Then the shift. Lacey pivoting from victim to exhausted wife. The voice she used when she wanted me to feel like the difficult one. Ethan. Tori panicked. Okay. She drafted it. I never filed the final version. The system auto-logged the draft. Morales probably overreacted. I saw the LLC stamp. Lace. Because we're trying to survive. You came back and acted like none of this mattered. Do you know how many women would kill for the partnership Brett offered me? They'd kill for the money. I said, you're just the one willing to use a deployment box to get it. She inhaled sharp. You're being cruel. I'm being documented. Another pause. Heavier. If you submit that affidavit. My account is done. Tori says they'll sue me personally for the retainer if you tank the brand. Then maybe stop letting Tori negotiate your marriage. She hung up. At 2,100, Tori posted a blurry, cropped video to her close friend story. You could hear my voice, part she couldn't monetize, with a caption layered over it, grateful for boundaries, grateful for the lessons. 30 seconds later, Jax texted, Jax. Tori just tagged a Mill SPO manager in her story. Lacey's account went private 5 minutes ago. Something's breaking. I opened the app once. Marissa from the book club had already commented under Tori's post. Funny how Lacey's single mom era started 2 days after her husband got home. The likes were moving sideways. Fast. I didn't refresh it. I opened my email instead and hit send on the affidavit Reyes had cleaned up. Subject. Formal rebuttal. Dependent benefit misuse. Whitman. Ed. CC. Post commander. FRG admin. Mill SPO collective legal. Not to burn her down. Just to stop the door from swinging both ways. Lacey texted as soon as a receipt pinged her inbox. Lacey. You just ended my career. Lacey. Tori's packing her car. The manager is ghosting me. This is exactly what I was trying to prevent. I typed one reply. Deleted it twice. Then sent the shortest version. Me. You prevented honesty. I prevented fraud. Don't confuse the two. The garage was quiet after that. No knock, no ring light hum. No fake turkey centerpieces staged behind a ring light. Just the hum of the deep freeze where the butterball was still sitting. Untouched since Thanksgiving morning. For the first time in almost a year, nobody was performing for the camera. And somehow, the house felt quieter than any deployment ever did. Monday morning, Mill SPO Collective pulled a contract. Tori texted me at 0732 from a new number. No more hugs and kisses. No more pastels in her signature block. IG is asking Brett for the draft invoices. Lacey's losing the LLC merch drop. You happy? I didn't answer. By noon, the Fayetteville Military Spouse Facebook cluster had cannibalized itself. Marissa posted the original Deer's email chain in full. Another girl cross-referenced Tori's old posts and pointed out she'd lifted captions from a Gold Star Widow's blog and pasted them into Lacey's Hardest Nights reels last month. The hashtag MillSPO grift started trending in the North Carolina groups. Tori tried to pivot. She posted a black screen story claiming emotional burnout and quietly archived every photo of Lacey. Lacey waited until Tuesday night to come to the garage. No mock-up, hair in a claw clip. Sweatshirt with a hole in the sleeve. For about 10 seconds, she looked like the girl who used to fall asleep on FaceTime. She didn't sit, just held a folded cashier's checkout like it settled gravity. $6,000, she said. 3 times the original quiet fee. You tear the JAG affidavit. I refiled the Deer's paperwork as withdrawn, and we put out a joint statement saying we're amicably separating. Soft landing for both of us. I didn't take the check. Soft landing. I repeated. Brett's gone. Tori's radioactive. But if we frame this right, amicable, grateful, blah blah, I can still freelance for a smaller agency out of Charlotte. I just need the affidavit buried. You didn't come here to fix us. Did you? I said, you came to buy a cleaner exit. She swallowed. The performance cracked just enough to let something honest slip out. I built something while you were gone. Ethan, I know you don't respect it, but it was mine. And now it's gone because you decided to play soldier at the worst possible time. You didn't lose it because I filed paperwork. I said, you lost it because you let someone draft a fake deployment record off my name to sell leggings. She flinched, then straightened. Say that to the followers. Then, see how sympathetic they are to a vet who won't let his wife eat. I took the check, ripped it down the middle, and dropped the halves into the recycling bin next to the deep freeze. You didn't lose me at the door. Lacey, I said, you lost me the second you let someone else decide who gets to stand behind it. Her mouth opened, some version of don't do this, but I stepped past her and pulled the garage side door shut. Click, out in the driveway. Tori's Civic was still idling. She'd been filming from the curb, phone braced on the dashboard, when she saw Lacey walk out alone. Tori killed the recording and rolled down her window. She offered the 6. Tori called. Lacey ignored her, kept walking toward the house. Tori got out, following her up the sidewalk. Lacey, babe, don't ice me now. The manager wants a statement distancing me from the Deers draft. You just say it was my idea, and you sign under stress. That's the play. Get off my property. Tori, Lacey said, voice thin. Tori laughed, high and disbelieving. You need me. Who's gonna run your... Lacey slammed the front door. Tori stood there for a second, then turned and aimed her phone at the house. Hitting record for one last story. Cream sweater. Ring light long packed away. Just a bare porch light. Grateful for the lessons. Tori murmured to the lens, knowing exactly which caption would travel. Then she tossed the phone in the passenger seat and peeled out toward Yadkin Road. I watched her taillights disappear, then checked my own phone. One email waiting. Subject, offer letter, Van Ridge Security, San Diego. Veteran founded outfit. Benefits active day 1. No TRICARE games. No FRG politics. Start date 2 weeks out. I hit accept. Wednesday morning. I loaded the Tacoma. The Butterball was still in the deep freeze. I left it. Let the landlord deal with the staging furniture and the ring light marks on the living room wall. Lacey came out to the driveway as I was closing the tailgate. No phone in her hand this time. Just her. San Diego? She asked, reading the U-Haul routing slip I'd left on the dash. California. You're really not even doing a Thanksgiving dinner? Thanksgiving's over. Lace. She wrapped her arms around herself, looking for the camera. That wasn't there. Old habit. When she realized nobody was filming, her shoulders dropped a fraction. I did love you, she said. Flat. Not a plea. Just a fact she didn't know what to do with anymore. I know, I said, getting in the truck. That's why I didn't let them monetize the audio. I backed out without waiting for her to move off the driveway. She stepped aside at the last second, standing in the dust while the garage door stayed open behind her. Empty now except for the hum of a freezer, she didn't know how to defrost. Interstate 95 South felt longer than any convoy route I'd ever run. Halfway past Richmond, Alinque de notificación pijed. Reyes had passed my name to a JAG paralegal attached to the San Diego office. Someone cleaning up dependent benefit cases for vets transitioning out west. Her note was short. Welcome to the network. Ethan, first coffee and SD is on me. We got a few more Lacey/Tori situations to untangle before the FY closes. Bring the affidavits. I'll bring the espresso. No ring light. No audience. Just work that didn't require pretending. I save her contact as Camille, SD legal, turned the radio up, and kept driving. Behind me, Fayetteville went quiet in the rear view. And for the first time since I took off the uniform, nobody was asking me to smile for the algorithm.